The Sega Genesis was king in my house, delivering unprecedented experiences that were a huge step up from my dad's old PC. There were a ton of great games that stood out at the time. An entire article could easily be written in dedication, but one of the most memorable among them was Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog, a flashy and vibrantly colorful platformer that doubled as the debut for the company's brand new mascot. With its sprawling and labyrinthine levels, catchy music, fun boss fights, and near-nauseating bonus stages, the game saw numerous playthroughs during my formative years. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the first time I got hyped for a sequel simply because, hey, more Sonic! It did more than that though, and pushed the Genesis hardware with larger, more complex level designs and fun puzzle-like encounters with Dr. Robotnik. Strong sales and timeless gameplay catapulted Sonic the Hedgehog 2 to Olympus, cementing its legacy as a staple of video game pop culture. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 maintained its presence in the collective consciousness for the simple reason that there is money to be had in nostalgia. Like other retro games, Sonic's adventures were frequently emulated to almost every console and mobile device under the sun, either individually or part of a themed compilation, and you could easily find versions of it on the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, numerous Nintendo devices, iOS, PCs, Apple and Amazon TV boxes, and whatever else. Like the original Doom, one wonders if we'll see Sonic the Hedgehog 2 played on a smart refrigerator. So as not to break tradition, Nintendo ported it to the Switch as part of its Sega Ages line, where, and this shouldn't come as much of a surprise, it runs pretty much like a dream. Proving that you can't keep a good mad scientist down, the evil Dr. Robotnik, or Eggman if you prefer, returns to wreak havoc on everything that's good and decent by hunting down the Chaos Emeralds to power his newest invention, the Death Egg. Sonic races to save the day alongside his new sidekick pal, a twin-tailed fox named Miles Tails per Hour. You get it? Miles per hour? Anyway, in the single-player mode, Tails is controlled by code. Programmed to dote on our hero like a younger brother, he follows closely behind Sonic, duplicating his actions at all times. Cute as he was, Tails was a do-nothing character that didn't add anything memorable to the game apart from toyetic synergy. He couldn't die like the player could, reappearing a few short moments with his tails whipping around like a helicopter rotor. No, the sole reason for Tails' existence was to facilitate a new two-player option that lets a second person grab a controller, or Joy-Con in this case, and play along. Another human could play Tails smartly, grabbing errant rings and doubling damage done against Robotnik and his minions. They are especially helpful during the new Chaos Emerald special stages, which moved away from the dizzying mess from the first game into something a little bit more manageable. Sonic needs to have picked up 50 rings by the time he crosses a checkpoint signpost, which generates a spinning portal of stars that teleports the player to the new special stage, a faux 3D luge track. To obtain an emerald, the player has to match or exceed demanding thresholds by collecting rings spread out in various patterns while avoiding bombs that will make you lose rings if you hit them. This is where having two players offers an advantage because they can work together to maximize the number of rings collected, especially those that are impossible to get solo. In single-player mode, Tails is a severe detriment because, like the rest of the game, there's a delay to his movements. Having to plan out jumps ahead of time just to compensate for that makes these special stages all the more stressful. Thankfully, the Nintendo Switch allows for creating save states that makes it easier to retry these stages. The Chaos Emeralds in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 are worth the trouble to collect because, in a direct homage to Dragon Ball Z, owning all 7 triggers Sonic's abilities to turn Super Sonic, where his fur turns gold and he's given faster speed, longer jumps, and invulnerability as long as he's carrying rings. Unfortunately, none of these powers find their way to Tails, dooming him to the unforgiving coldness that is Sonic's shadow. Tails' insignificance doesn't stop Sonic the Hedgehog 2 from being anything short of awesome. It's faster, cooler, and more complex than its predecessors on many levels. Even the soundtrack is better. The game's stages are flooded with creativity and introduce exclusive mechanics, be it the speed boosts and springs in Chemical Plant Zone, the pinball slot machine features of Casino Night Zone, Wing Fortress Zone's airborne mechanics, and the fun yet hazardous challenges of Metropolis Zone's electric bass traps. Sonic's adventures culminate in his infiltration of the Death Egg, obviously inspired by Star Wars, which takes our heroes off-planet for dramatic confrontation in space. The Nintendo Switch version adapts everything that made Sonic the Hedgehog 2 so memorable and exciting with nary a blemish. The Switch also includes competitive time trials, rankings, and the old Sonic & Knuckles lock-on technology that lets you play the game as Knuckles the Echidna, who was introduced as a villain in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. After leaving the 2D world behind, Sonic the Hedgehog had its fair share of ups and downs. Sonic Adventure and Sonic Generations found ways to marry side-scrolling gameplay in 3D environments, while other ventures like Sonic Boom, Rise of the Lyric, Sonic Riders, and that one game where Sonic kissed a human woman led people to feel that the brand's quality dropped considerably. Sonic Mania came closest to capturing the magic of the series' earliest roots, but there's nothing like the feeling of coming home again when revisiting the classics, not only for nostalgia's sake, but to be reminded of why you loved them to begin with. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 continues to be pure magic, and no matter how many times it gets ported onto the hottest new thing, the experience will never be diluted. DarkStation gives Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Nintendo Switch 4.5 stars.